The Shazam franchise has been pretty quiet since the first movie came out in 2019, but 2022 is shaping up to be the real year of Shazam. We're getting a Black Adam movie and a Shazam sequel. As excited as we are, no one is more excited about Black Adam than The Rock himself. In this video, we're going to be looking at a recent story about Dwayne Johnson's almost annoying enthusiasm for this film. Apparently, The Rock is weirdly excited to make the director of Shazam. Fury of the gods smell his cooking. Dwayne Johnson will finally be making his big screen debut as Black Adam in his self-titled movie, which is set to release on October 21st of this year. Just 2 months later, his arch nemesis Shazam will be getting a sequel to this movie, but the two won't be facing off just yet. The two movies are separate projects with separate casts and crews, with Joan Collet-Serra directing Dwayne Johnson's flick and David F. Sandberg directing the Shazam movie. Thanks to the obvious overlap between these movies, they were shooting at the same time in the same city of Atlanta. Dwayne Johnson apparently knew where Sandberg's tent was, and he antagonized the director in the weirdest way, sharing the story through some cute comics on his Instagram. Sandberg says that even now he's not entirely sure he has met the world-famous Rock. The story starts with a secret message slipped under the door of Sandberg's trailer. It heralded a change in the hierarchy of power in the DC universe, whatever that means, and was signed off with a 21-inch bicep measurement. No one saw Johnson slip that first letter under his trailer door, nor did anyone ever catch Johnson hiding any of the other letters that Sandberg kept running into, including one in the middle of the woods with no one around. It was Sandberg's crew that first suggested that the letters could be coming from Johnson. It sounds like a good guess considering the writer of these missives apparently has 21-inch biceps. Regardless, no one ever caught Johnson in the act. It looks like The Rock had turned into John Cena and no one could see him. Sandberg stayed totally paranoid for a good long while, seeing Johnson everywhere and in everyone. The letters did eventually stop, and we're assuming that Sandberg has relaxed by now. Or we would be assuming that if any part of this story was real. Unfortunately, Dwayne Johnson wasn't actually following a film director around and leaving weird messages for him. Even Hollywood has limits to its magic. If you follow Sandberg's Instagram account @PonySmasher, you'll find all kinds of too good to be true stories from the set of a Shazam movie, all illustrated in that same cute style. The first story was about Helen Mirren and a strand of body hair that she's been growing out since the start of her career. For every movie she does, she adds a knot to the hair, and if the hair gets too long without a knot, she'll take the first movie she can get. When Sandberg asked her if that's why she agreed to his Shazam movie, she slowly rolled away on the hoverboard she was on the whole time. Part 2 might just be our favorite one, actually. It starts with Sandberg and a line producer spotting a crew member, Jack, meowing on top of a tree. When asked why, Jack replies that he's practicing for the cat scene. The producer didn't recall a cat scene, and neither did Sandberg, but since he didn't want to be caught unaware of scenes in his own movie, Sandberg set up and shot a cat scene with Jack. The scene included a $250,000 animatronic cat head. After shooting it, Sandberg destroyed the recording to make sure his scheme was never found out. Except, the shoot had been observed by Warner execs who loved it. They'll be expecting a cat scene in the final movie, and Sandberg might be in big trouble. Stories like these are definitely why Sandberg gets to make movies. He actually has an energy to him that would suit the world of Shazam. That being said, seeing this guy's Black Adam movie would be pretty interesting. And know what else is interesting? Why Shazam and his mortal enemy are in different movies. That decision was made at the start of the very long road it took to get a Shazam and a Black Adam movie. Dwayne Johnson is taking credit for presenting the idea of separating the movies when the projects were first being developed like 6 years ago. He read the first script for the Shazam movie, which introduced both the hero and the villain, and felt that it didn't do justice to the characters. In his mind, it made more sense to introduce the characters separately and bring them together later down the line. We have to agree with this approach. Black Adam is one of those DC villains that could carry a movie on his own. His story and character are super interesting, even independent of his conflict with Shazam. So we're just as excited for Black Adam as we are for Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and we're curious as to how Black Adam will stack up against the other DC villain that got a solo movie. Now in other news, could we actually get a cameo from Henry Cavill? The Justice League that Zack Snyder started setting up almost 10 years ago has been in disarray. Ben Affleck quit the franchise, Ray Fisher left after mistreatment on the set of Justice League, and Ezra Miller probably doesn't have a long future in Hollywood. Henry Cavill's status has always been up in the air, though. He never formally announced his exit from the franchise, but he's been missing from the DC Extended Universe, and it sure looked like he'd moved on to other projects. We sort of got a Superman cameo in Shazam, but Dwayne Johnson is teasing that we might actually see Henry Cavill himself in Black Adam. When someone tweeted at the former People's Champ that they'd love to see Superman and Black Adam collide on screen, Johnson replied to simply say that he's got the tweeters back. Could Henry Cavill be suiting up as Superman again? Or, and this sounds really crazy, is DC about to debut a new Superman who's been kept completely secret until now? Place your bets in the comments section. Meanwhile, Shazam 2 has a cameo from WandaVision? It's an off-screen cameo of sorts. Shazam Fury of the Gods has had a shakeup in the crew, and Christopher Beck will now be composing for the Shazam sequel. Beck hasn't just scored WandaVision for Marvel, he was also the composer behind the Hawkeye series and both Ant-Man movies. The guy knows his superhero movie scores, so he's a good get for this movie. Unfortunately, to get Christopher Beck, Shazam 2 had to lose the composer of the first film, Benjamin Wallfisch. If you haven't listened to the score for Blade Runner 2049, make sure you cue that up right after you reach the end of our video. And watch the video too, it's pretty great. Finally, a quick rundown of what's new with Joker Folie à Deux. Todd Phillips' Joker movie was a surprise on so many levels. It was a very humanizing take on a Gotham's clown prince of crime, bringing a realness and edge to the story that earned it a lot of legitimacy in all circles of Hollywood. Phillips is taking that goodwill and using it to do some weird stuff with the sequel titled Folie à Deux. For a lot of people, the very idea of giving the Joker film a sequel was bizarre enough idea, but the more details that emerged from this production, the weirder it gets. First, we found out that it was going to be a musical about Joker's romance with Harley Quinn. And then we found out that Lady Gaga will be playing Quinn opposite Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. We learned about the early talks that Lady Gaga was having with the studio last month, but it seems like she's a lock for the movie now. We still don't know what the movie will be about exactly. The Joker and Harley story is pretty iconic, but the Joker of Phillips' movie is fairly different from all other versions of the character. It's hard to imagine Arthur Fleck being an abusive boyfriend. We can try to glean some clues from the subtitle of the movie, Folie à Deux, in French for Folly of Two. It's an informal name for the psychological condition of shared delusional disorder where the delusions of one patient can be transmitted to another person. Perhaps the movie will pit the couple against the world at large. Except Fleck is obviously mentally deranged and taking Quinn for a ride. Or Phillips might end up flipping the script entirely, providing a whole new angle on this relationship that's unlike anything we've seen before. Why don't you share your best theories in the comments section below? That's it for today's video. How disappointed are you that Dwayne Johnson wasn't writing weird letters to David Sandberg? You should totally check out Sandberg's other fake stories and tell us which is your favorite. And are you gonna line up to catch Black Adam and Shazam Fury of the Gods at the theater? Thunder on in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.